NICOLA Sturgeon's claim to have fully cooperated with Operation Branchform investigators has been demolished by revelation she snubbed a witness plea from cops, rivals have said. We can reveal the former First Minister rejected requests from detectives to provide a statement as they moved towards a trial against her disgraced husband, Peter Murrell. The ex-SNP leader refused to provide her account to cops after she was told she would not be charged by investigating officers in 2025, but after Murrell had been charged with embezzlement. It also came almost 2 years after she gave a no-comment interview to police under the guidance of her legal team. It is the latest blow to her claim she stuck to her public pledge to cooperate fully with police throughout the 5-year probe, which has cost taxpayers more than £2 million. And critics have slammed the refusal to work with cops, with Scottish Labour leader Jackie Baillie saying the revelation showed Miss Sturgeon was determined to be as unhelpful as possible during Operation Branchform. She added it's indicative of Sturgeon's obsession with PR that she chose to take part in a sit-down interview with the BBC and yet spent the rest of her week running from journalist questions. The Scottish public deserve transparency, not further lies and deceit from the SNP. We need a parliamentary inquiry into the scandal to get to the truth. Scottish Tory leader Russell Findlay said Miss Sturgeon had spent hours hiding with no comment answers when confronted by cops about her husband's offending. He said now we discover that she, along with a senior SNP MSP, rejected the opportunity to provide witness statements to the police. This latest revelation completely demolishes any lingering notion that she played ball with the investigation into her husband's crime spree. On Monday last week, ex-SNP Chief Executive Murrell pleaded guilty to stealing £400,000 from the Nats over a 12-year period from 2010 to 2022 and was led from court in handcuffs as he was remanded in custody. As police built their case, detectives contacted both Miss Sturgeon and former SNP Treasurer Colin Beattie to ask for witness statements. They are used by police officers and prosecutors to construct a picture of offending and can be crucial evidence during a trial in helping secure a conviction. It is likely police were trying to secure evidence from key witnesses with a knowledge of the SNP's finances and governance and the home life of Murrell and Sturgeon ahead of a potential high-profile High Court trial if Murrell decided to plead not guilty. Miss Sturgeon and Mr Beattie were asked to provide statements last year after they were told they would not be charged as part of Operation Branchform. Both politicians had been arrested and released without charge after police interviews in 2023, before being told they would face no further action on March the 20th last year. But tonight a legal source said normally when people are ruled out as suspects, they are more than helpful to assist. When both of them were asked, their legal teams came back to say they would not provide witness statements. Both Sturgeon and Beattie were rather unhelpful. Why wouldn't they provide witness statements? You would have to ask them. They added the SNP and indeed Sturgeon and Beattie keep talking about transparency. Well, both of them were not very transparent when they were asked to assist the police as witnesses into a huge fraud of the party. Tonight a second source confirmed no official witness statement was ultimately given by Miss Sturgeon. Mr Beattie also did not provide a witness statement, the source said. The revelation comes despite Miss Sturgeon repeatedly saying she would fully cooperate with police as they investigated the Nats' fraud-hit finances. On the 8th of April 2023, 3 days after Murrell was first arrested by police, the ex-SNP leader, who had quit as First Minister just 3 weeks earlier, was asked whether she had been questioned by police. She said, "I haven't, but I will fully cooperate with police as and when they request that, if indeed they do."
As has been the case, there will continue to be full cooperation. The last few days have been obviously difficult, quite traumatic at times, but I understand that is part of a process. I also understand, and I've always accepted, the scrutiny that comes on me as a public figure, and never shied away from that, hence standing here talking to you just now. But I'm also entitled to a little bit of privacy in my own home.
We revealed last week that she refused to answer any questions when she was arrested and quizzed by police on the 11th of June 2023. Instead, she hindered investigating officers by no commenting her interview, with Miss Sturgeon claiming at the weekend this was on the advice of her lawyer. A spokeswoman for Miss Sturgeon said afterwards Nicholas consistently said she would cooperate with the investigation if asked and continues to do so. She later insisted she sent a written statement to police before being told she would not be charged in April 2025, but on Sunday refused to say whether she would release it to the public. When asked, Miss Sturgeon's lawyer Amar Amar did not deny the fact that Miss Sturgeon turned down the request to provide a witness statement from police. He said, "You should have a full transcript of Miss Sturgeon's interview with Laura Kuenssberg, and as already has been publicly stated, a detailed written statement was provided to Police Scotland. There will be no further comment." It comes after insiders claim she sat in silence for hours while being interviewed by fraud cops following her arrest. On Sunday, when asked about it by the BBC, Ms Sturgeon confirmed she had acted on the advice from her lawyer. She said, "When I found myself arrested and being interviewed by police, I was in a state of almost complete collapse. I was terrified, I was bewildered, I was in a state of, high stress and anxiety. I instructed a lawyer, a very experienced lawyer, who told me that he was going to advise me to do the same as he advises every client in that situation, is to not answer the questions in such a state of stress, and if I wanted to do that afterwards, I could do that in the way I did. I accepted that advice, and I would challenge anybody in the state I was in there to go in and do something different to what a very experienced lawyer was advising them to do. The idea that I did not fully cooperate with police is not true. I did fully cooperate with police." She also revealed in the interview how she was aware of the content of police questions before being hauled in by cops. Ms Sturgeon said she had heard second-hand about the details of some of the queries and items bought by her husband, which were at the centre of the probe. She said, "I was hearing things second-hand about things that witnesses were being asked about." The former SNP leader has also refused to say whether she pressured her husband into accepting a guilty plea. She met with him 2 weeks before he appeared at the High Court in Edinburgh on the 25th of May and at Easter Sunday with family. He pleaded guilty and was taken away in handcuffs as he was remanded for sentencing due later this month.